next few teams there on the list. Team Norway, including Kasper Stornes and Lotte Miller. Once again, absolutely perfect conditions weather-wise. No chance of any precipitation whatsoever here in Munich this evening. Race time's about 5 or 6 minutes away. We're going to show you the team introductions momentarily. Here they are. Here's Team Great Britain, including Non Stanford, the newly crowned Women's European Champion. And they'll be followed by the huge favourites here. Leo Berger, Sandra Bogran, Dorian Konitz and Emma Lombardi. They've actually switched their order. Lombardi was originally down to do the last leg. She's now going to run the second leg. Listen to the roar, the Greek team Germany. Here they come. Valentin Wirtz, Nina Rhein, Human Hensley and Lara Lindemann. Team Italy will be next. Team Italy. Now, just to mention here that if you're not aware, the order in the mixed team relay used to start with the women. So it used to be woman, man. That's now changed round. So the new formation means you must start with a man, you must finish with a woman, and it will remain this way in every mixed team relay event right through until at least after the Paris Olympics in 2 years' time. The thing about the relay is you're absolutely desperate not to let your teammates down. Triathlon is traditionally such an individual sport that increasingly it's becoming very much a team affair. Of course, we've got the Collins Cup on the PTO Tour coming up next weekend. That's Studer, who will start off for the Swiss. Katia Shah will run the second leg. They've also slightly changed their order. A few teams just, I don't know whether it was psychology. They like to keep people guessing. Won't be anywhere near as congested, obviously, today around those boys as we saw in the individual races. That's Hamish Riley, the British youngster. So if you've not seen a mixed team relay before, all these athletes will swim 300 metres, bike 7.2, do the 1.6k run, and then they will tag their next teammate, and they will repeat, and so on for all four athletes. As I said, the run for the fourth athlete slightly different because they come around, obviously, do an extra 200 metres to get to that finish line. Hard to say what the winning time is likely to be here because it is a new course. So I would expect somewhere around 120. We'll get an idea after the first leg, see how fast they're going. Less than a minute now until our final triathlon event here at the 2022 European Championships Munich. in this magnificent Olympia Park that was built for the Olympics back in 1972. And even though this is the last triathlon event, of course, the sporting action, the other sports, continues for another week, finishes next Sunday, the 21st of August. Heartbeat means we're just moments away. So away they go. We're off and running in our final triathlon event, the mixed team relay. And it should be fascinating viewing. Yes, the French are massive favourites, but it's a very, very unpredictable form of triathlon this. Anything can happen. And just a reminder that time penalties will be in operation for any infractions. 10 seconds in the penalty box. And we saw, as recently as Hamburg last month, what damage that can do. The German team picked up 2 time penalties. Laura Lindemann on the ankle leg, as she will be again today, had to serve 20 seconds in the penalty box. And there's a lot of decision-making potentially in mixed team relays, because if you are lucky enough to be given a lead, do you bike solo? Depends how big that lead is. Obviously, if it's a decent lead, you've got no choice. But do you decide to go solo? Do you maybe wait for 1 or 2 other athletes, then try and get away as a group? Narrow the field down early? Well, very quickly, they have almost reached the first buoy after just, what, a minute and a half of swimming here in the Olympia Sea. So even with only 18 men in the water, there can be just a little bit of congestion. So they make the U-turn and head back towards dry land. You see those officials in the water just watching on the alert for any kind of foul play. Quite hard to get the numbers. I think Hamish Riley of Great Britain is right up there. Teenager who trains in Eastbourne. We expect Berger to be pretty adjacent to the lead. Well, it shouldn't be too far away. Emmett Gaines had a really poor swim yesterday, so interesting to see how he goes for Team Belgium. He is doing his first leg for the Belgians. You can see the swim exit there, so they'll be out after, what, just a little bit over 3 minutes of swimming here. It is only 300 metres. Already there's a little bit of separation after maybe the first 3 or 4. And that potentially could spell serious danger for those who don't make this initial bike group. Because once a mixed team leader gets away from you, it stays away from you generally. 3.5 minutes, and they're out. Now, transition absolutely vital in the relay. Can't afford to make any mistakes. Can't afford to be tardy. Certainly can't afford to pick up any time penalties. Looks like Procchiani had a decent swim there, among others. See how many get away. Looks like it's going to be 3, initially at least. And already you can see There's going to be separation less than 5 minutes into the race. Hungary, Italy and Portugal, the first three away. So that's a great swim from Mark Devay, Braccioni, as I mentioned. And the Portuguese with Vasco Vilaca. Ukraine currently 21 seconds back are the back markers. Jelle Gaines again didn't have a good time in the water. Belgium second last. Something of a surprise and certainly something of a worry. Three is just about the perfect number. Now, Hungary, Italy, Portugal, with all due respect to all three of those nations, not really threatening or expected to threaten the podium, but they're going to get caught by the look of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's about 10, 12 of them in behind, about to catch on to the leading three. So that good work in the water and in transition, that looks already going to count for nothing. Unless they can find some kind of extra gear and stay away. Any lead's a handy one, but just think they've rather lost the momentum a little bit. It would be one of the biggest shocks in mixed team relay triathlon history if the French do not win this race. Just putting that out there with the calibre of athletes that they have. Leo Berger is on the bike for France in this first leg. We're with the leaders. They're still a little way ahead of their nearest pursuers. There you can see it. Might be, what's that, 10 seconds possibly, maybe a fraction less. Can't see that lead holding, but we'll see. It's only 7.2, it's only 2 laps on the bike. And all you're thinking, if you're in that chasing group, obviously apart from trying to catch the three leaders, is don't get isolated, stay with this group, try and put pressure on, try and make it as straightforward as possible for your teammates. Don't let them have a big deficit to make up early. Well, what I expected to happen has happened. They've all caught on. The Germans are in there, the French are in there. They're the two main ones to look for. 11 of them, by the look of it. So 11 of the 18 in that leading group. The British just off the back. And as for the individual races, if you were with us for those, this course is narrow and there are lots of twists and turns, and you've got to be very, very concentrated. Otherwise, you can come to grief. I'm talking about the unpredictability of mixed team relay. I remember a race a few years ago in Hamburg, World Championship relay. Great Britain were overwhelming favourites. They were cruising. Non-Stamford was on leg 3. Those are the days when the women did the third leg. Waiting to hand to Alistair Brownlee, and she just crashed on the bike with no one close to her. So these kind of things can happen. Staying calm and concentrated at the same time, and yet not losing any of the momentum. Great to see such big crowds out here again today. love to see the Germans do well, obviously, the crowd, but they're fast enough bunch to know top-class triathlon when they see it, whoever is providing it, whichever nation. Listen to the roar as they come through to complete their first lap of two. No real change from the last time we showed you that order. These guys are now already half a minute behind. Beg your pardon, not quite as much. That's 17 seconds. That's still a big gap though, after only one lap of the bike on the first leg. The French do have Cassandra Beaugrand, probably the quickest runner in the field on the final leg. Whether they'll just sit and let her use that pace, I'm not sure. I think when you've got Lombardi and Koenigs in your team, you try and extend the lead by the leg if you can. But Berger, who's had himself having to play catch up with the other men in that little immediate chase group after they came out of the water, done the job that was required. Just going under the trees there, a little bit of separation. Oh, now, who's that coming to grief? Might well be the Ukrainian. If it is, it's Inigo Martinenko. Just what you don't want to do. That's sometimes you're just chasing it too hard, and that's what can happen. Panic sets in, you're way behind very early, and he just got a little bit greedy on a corner. So that's going to be a huge disappointment to Martinenko's teammates. And by the look of things, I'm not going to be able to compete. Now you can see they're getting a little strung out here. No cozy riding round in a group of 10 or 12. It's pretty much full gas. They're well over halfway now into their second and final lap, and the run is 1.6k, so fractionally over a mile. We have got a little break off the front by the look of it. Situation can change so quickly in mixed team relay. Frightening speed, the way they take these pretty tight corners, and sometimes, as you saw a moment ago, they can overdo it. So this field's been broken up. Probably not surprising. There are some young riders from some of the lesser nations here. It's great learning experience for them. But all of a sudden, you find yourself in with the big boys and the likes of Boucher and Yella Gaines, albeit that Gaines suffered again in the swim. That is going to be a worry for the Belgian, for sure. Just a little look round to see who's in the vicinity here. We might have a little group of 4 who have sneaked themselves away. Well, they won't have any serious congestion when they come into P2. And just like in P1, P2 you've got to be very careful that there are no transgressions. The 10-second time penalty can absolutely kill you. Out the shoes. First thing is to make sure you get off before the dismount line, which you see there in red. So Portugal, France, Switzerland and Norway with the Hungarians just behind. Then the Spanish. Vasco Villarca. Right in amongst it, the 22-year-old, had an excellent season so far, individually. Would expect Berger to get to the front at some point, maybe, but look at Studer go. Wow. This is a real statement of intent. Only 1.6 kilometres. Remember when the great Nicolas Spirig helped Switzerland get to qualify for the mixed team relay at the Olympics. It's in Lisbon, I think. Back last year. It's a magic moment. There's the individual men's champion, Leo Berger. Understandable if the exertions of yesterday have taken a little bit out of him, but Matt Studer trying to make every post a winning one at the moment and hand over to Katja Shah, giving his teammate a lead. Very impressive this from Studer. Always look to have a solid lineup, the Swiss. Recently got on the podium in the individual race at Pontevedra. It's a World Cup event. Look further back, that's Marc Duvet of Hungary. And that's Cloud Spain just behind him. Spanish should do a decent performance in a mixed team relay. They really haven't got a good record. But Studer for Switzerland, then Vilas for Portugal, and then Berger for the French, the favourites. Studer looking like it's hurting a wee bit. It should do. It might not be long, but it is full gas right from the gun. He's been at it for nearly 18 minutes. Villarca, a former World Junior Championship runner-up back in 2017. That's the incline. Berger just being left behind a little bit at the moment, which is something of a surprise. Long, long way to go. 20 more athletes, of course, for each team. When these men have finished. Spain just going past Hungary. Luis Grau, who you may remember won the World Cup race in Watalco. It's back in June. Great win that actually, beat Tyler His Lordship in a sprint finish. Here comes Studer though. So Switzerland lead Portugal, lead France. And surely a better start than either the Swiss or the Portuguese could possibly have expected. Impressive, really impressive from Studer. Trying to give the next woman to go for Switzerland. Could be Katja Schaar, there she is. The biggest possible lead. There's the tag and the Swiss are away. Schaar is off. Swiftly followed by Melanie Santos for Portugal. And Emma Lombardi presumably will get the tag from Berger. There she goes. Absolutely dead, isn't he, Studer? What a performance, though, from the Swiss. He has done his bit and some. So the second athlete for the leading teams are off and in the water. Exactly the same course. Norway, at the moment, are in fourth, ahead of Spain and Hungary. Great performance from Reti Børsvik-Thorn for Norway. Wow. Didn't expect them to be anywhere near the front of the queue like that. So that's given them perfect platform if they can make use of it. We'll see soon enough. We have had a few mixed team relays since they changed the order and made it man, woman. We've had a few where there's been quite a lot of separation on the first leg and then it's kind of closed up a bit. So let's see whether this is going to follow suit. Judging by the time of that first leg, I'm thinking maybe 125 rather than 120. Somewhere around there might be the winning time, but we'll see. So remember, Switzerland, Portugal, France was the order when they went into the water, and they've really closed up on Katja Schaar. So we might well have three women riding around together. Which actually wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing for any of these three. But we'll see how it transpires. Santos is a very experienced athlete. We know all about Emma Lombardi's really announced her presence this season, starting with that fantastic race in Yokohama. And then, of course, getting on the podium here on Friday. And Katja Schaar is going to really have to try and hang tough here. Young athlete, only 21. Was in the mixed relay team in Hamburg, where the Swiss got a very respectable fourth place. Well, maybe I'll take back what I said about three riding around together. But it's decision time, or it will be shortly. Great swim from Melanie Santos, we'd expect that. Lombardi out second for the French. And then the Norwegians. So the Norwegians have made up ground on Schaar. They've overtaken Schaar. And Lotte Miller is on this leg for Norway. And we know how brilliant she can be on the bike. Well, this is going to be fascinating watching Miller. Here comes Lombardi into T1. Spain are fifth. They're some 34 seconds behind the leader. Now, is Santos going to try and ride solo or not? Miller could be the key factor here, even over a bike course of just 7.2 kilometres. The likes of Great Britain and the Italians more than a minute behind, along with the Czech Republic. Couple like this when you're a minute adrift, only 25 minutes into the race. Well, Lotte Miller completely confused. She didn't know where to go. Wow, that's an absolute heartbreaker because they were in such a good position, and having given her the massive build-up, she is the best bike in the field, I reckon. But that's cost her vital seconds. Just a total brain fade there. That's a fine stand number 14. I think it's been out of her head where she had to go. So the race takes yet another twist. Just when I thought that Miller might hold the key, she's starting much further back than she should have been, which is a huge bonus for the Portuguese in particular. So now we've got these two women at the front, and I've no idea how far back Miller is, how much time that actually cost her. That's Charles of Switzerland. She's got to try and get as close up to those leaders as she can. What a great swim from Melanie Santos, though. You don't expect anything else from her, but so Lombardi for France, Santos for Portugal. And Santos finding it really tough to go with young Emma Lombardi. And maybe this is the moment that France really starts to assert in the mixed team relay. I think she's obviously got into third ahead of Miller. Hosheb after what happened to the Norwegian in transition. And that's what I was saying. Concentration, absolute key, and well, a lot of Miller will have nightmares about that moment. Trying to keep Santos focused. Tar has her in her sight, and Lombardi is off on her own. Not really a surprise. Such a talented athlete. Been on the podium once here already at the European Championships. Might remember Lombardi had that excellent leg in the first mixed team relay in Montreal in June to help France win the World Championship. For the record, Great Britain the second, the United States the third in that race. very, very different British team, though, as I've mentioned. They weren't really expected to be competitive here. And the last we saw, they were just over a minute back. We've got Iona Miller on the second leg. Well, Santos has now dropped behind Katja Sharp. So the Swiss back into second. Just can't live with the speed of the likes of Lombardi. Although it's got to be said, Sharp riding an excellent leg on the bike for the Swiss. So half an hour gone in this mixed team relay, and we're right in the thick of the second leg. 1 lap to go on the bike. That's Miriam Casillas Garcia of Spain. They've actually got Mario Mono on the third leg. He may have done a mixed team relay before. I don't remember it. Germans a bit further behind than they would probably have expected to be as well at this stage. So Lombardi out on her second and final lap and looking beautifully rhythmic, perfectly relaxed, cornering superbly and giving France what may be a decisive advantage even this early on, because when you've got Dorian Konitz and Cassandra Beaugrand as numbers 3 and 4, can't really see you conceding too much ground. But we will see. Still relatively early in the race. And it's an ever-changing scenario in behind as well. Last time we saw it, looked as though Katja Sharp of Switzerland had got ahead of Melanie Santos of Portugal. But Lombardi is waiting for no one. Only 21 years of age. And like so many modern day triathletes, so skilled at a whole raft of different kind of distances. Sprint races, Olympic races. You're seeing how she excels here in a mixed team relay over the super sprint course. Flora Duffy would be the best example of someone who's just ridiculously good at everything. Her and Nicolas Spirig, the brilliant about to retire Swiss athlete. Both Olympic champions, of course, those two. France, I reckon, are going to be hot favourites to win the mixed team relay on home soil at the Olympics in 2 years' time. They could only finish third in Tokyo behind Great Britain and the United States. Shara has done very well after losing ground in the water. She's got back ahead of Melanie Santos on the bike, and she's pretty deep now in her second lap. Already the gap is 20 seconds, and Santos behind them, and there's the really unfortunate Lotta Miller, who had that nightmare in transition. Riding with the Norwegian mum and a Scottish dad. She was in the Olympics, she finished top 25. She's been top 20 this year in Leeds and Montreal. So a pretty talented athlete. Just that one moment of madness today in transition, potentially going to cost her. But there won't be anyone quicker on this uphill section than Miller, that's for sure. Back with our leader. And the really struggling Melanie Santos. And you can see she's about to get swamped by the chasers behind her. And that looked like Team Germany there. That looked very much like Nina Heim, I think it was. So she's put Germany back potentially in contention for a medal. The French are only interested in gold. At the moment, they look likely to get it, with Lombardi coming to the end of her bike. But it just shows you, if you just struggle on one leg, or one discipline in the leg, as we've seen with Melanie Santos, all of a sudden, you're going to have company. Especially with others riding behind you in a group, they are always going to make up time on a struggling solo rider. So, just got to make sure she gets off the bike before the line. She'll be going to stand number 2. It's a handy lead, isn't it, for Emma Lombardi, as she gets to stand 2 to wrap that bike. Make sure the helmet is in the box. Shoes on. And away you go. That's absolutely perfect. It is indeed Katja Schaar of Switzerland, who is second into T2. Bit of a struggle with the shoes, but Schaar is away. And there's Miller. Oh, what might have been. At least she managed to remember where the stand was this time. Lotte Miller is away in 3rd place for Norway. The Spanish currently 4th, then the Germans, then Belgium have made up some ground. Juliette Casillas Garcia is going to hand it over after her run to Mario Mola. Who, despite finishing some way down the field yesterday, was still pretty rapid over a short distance. If anything, you'd expect Emma Lombardi to run further away from Katja Schaar. It'd be a very, very surprising if she doesn't do that. But Schaar, so far, has done everything that could possibly have been asked of her. Especially because she was playing catch-up after the swim. And there's Lotte Miller in 3rd place. Now, whether she can hold on to that, I'm not sure. She is a solid runner. They have Kasper Stornes on the 3rd leg, the Norwegians. Probably say he's better over the longer distances, but even so, we've got a big name coming up for the Norwegians. Great crowds again, and so many different parts of this course. And that's what can happen. You just give it a little bit too much. I think that might have been Angelica Prezzi of Italy, was it? Who left his shoe behind. Uh-oh. Well, there's the German, Nina Rhein. That's why the crowd are particularly engaged on that part of the course. The Germans, remember, have Laura Lindemann on the anchor leg. Simon Hensele is going to be their second man. So he is who I will be handing over to in a few minutes' time. Lombardi, though, such a smooth running rhythm, the young Frenchwoman. They just seem to have a production line, don't they, the French, on both the men's and the women's side. Bogrand, obviously, you think of the three that were on the podium yesterday. Vincent Louis isn't even here. And Lombardi, very shortly, will be handing over to Dorian Konitz, who, of course, were on the podium yesterday in the men's race, in third. And Shah still holding second place for the Swiss. She's quite a long way behind Lombardi. You can see she's actually lost more ground, but her main concern was staying in second place, and it looks like she's going to be able to hand over to Simon Westermann in that same position. Not far to go for Shah. Rhein is also making up ground, and Dorian Konitz is away. In glorious isolation as he throws himself into the Olympia seat. And this is going to be a big lead as Katia Shah comes round. Got the Switzerland fan club there. But look at this, you give Dorian Konitz this kind of a lead. The French are just going to presumably go further and further away. Shah, Tad Westermann. Nearly 40 seconds is the advantage. And Nina Rhein has run through several athletes and got the Germans up into third. Wow, that's a fantastic performance by Rhein. It really is. But she's got Klaus Miller and obviously Klaus Santos as well. Reigning fourth. Belgium fifth. Then the Danes in Austria and Lotte Miller. Just a little bit of ground there running for Norway. Handing over to Kasper Skånes. Gunga Lehmann, who had an excellent race yesterday in the individual men's event. He's on leg 3 for the Hungarians. And it's João Pereira on leg 3 for Portugal. Look at this, Sweden and the Czech Republic, nearly 2 minutes behind. Didn't even see Great Britain on that action, so they may well be even further back. But what a position for Julian Konitz here then. Could not have wished, could not have asked for anything better. A 40-second lead. He's one of the best athletes in the world. He's a superb swimmer. And his bike and his run aren't bad either. It would be a huge surprise, 3/4 of an hour into this mixed team relay, if Konitz and then Beaugrand don't steer France to a very decisive victory. But you never know. And there's a really potentially exciting battle on at the moment for second and third, with Germany, thanks to Nina Ryan, having got right up into a medal position. There's Westermann in second place currently for Switzerland, but he'll be aware of Simon Henseleit closing him down for Germany. You can see Konitz is about to exit the water. We're with Henseleit now, in third for Germany. Konitz long since exited, heading towards his bike. There are no weak links in this French team. Helmet done up. And Konitz is away and pedalling. Well, that was a pretty good swim from the Swiss as well, Simon Westermann. Now, how far is he going to be ahead of Simon Henseleit? Well, he's going to get away from him on the bike, initially at least. That could really be a battle to watch. Great transition from the German crowd, loving it. Now, is he going to go really hard early on? Just see how close he can get to the Swiss rider. Spain and Belgium having a real tangle in fourth and fifth, then the Austrians. Hungary, Norway, Portugal have slipped down. Really are spread out, aren't they? A minute 20 now between first and 10th. Minute 45, the Czechs in 11th. Portuguese are away, so they're going to ride in a little group. Glorious day for a triathlon, especially one that's supported as well as this. Freedom of the course for Julian Konitz. Remember, he won the European title last year in Valencia. Got on the podium. It was a very stout defence that he showed us yesterday. Former World Junior Champion. Under 23 World Champion. He was part of that French team that struck bronze in Tokyo at the Olympics last year. Here comes Westermann. A little look back, just wants to see if Simon Henseleit is anywhere close. I don't think he's in vision for the Swiss, not yet. Start looking at who's on the anchor legs. They've got Julie Deron, the Swiss. The Germans have Laura Lindemann. The French, they have Cassandra Beaugrand. So Koenigs there knows he'll be handing over to an absolutely top-class performer in about 10 or 12 minutes' time. Henseley obviously wants to get closer to Westermann, but he also has to be aware of those chasing from behind, making sure that he keeps Germany in a decent third. Get on the podium the very worst way. Another, he's getting anxious, isn't he? That's a couple of times now already that Westermann has looked, and there, and now you know why. Because Henseley is chasing him down. Last time we saw that shot, he didn't have him in his sights. Now he does. And Germany pressing here for better than a bronze. He started around 12 or 13 seconds behind the Swiss, so he's had an excellent ride and made up ground. So Koenig's coming towards the end of his first lap. The lead has been trimmed a little bit, but it's still more than enough, you would imagine. Half a minute plus as Koenig heads towards the end of his opening lap. And now, side by Sondheim, the German and the Swiss. One thing that Westermann can't afford to happen is for the German to get away from him. He needs to stay with him on the bike. Might be easier said than done, the way that Henseley is riding. You see how energised the crowd are now that their man has got back up into potentially a fight for the silver. So through transition with 1 lap to go. And that means that Koenigs is already half a minute plus down the road. .34 seconds is the lead for France. Spain are, half a minute behind the Swiss and the German, riding with Austria and Belgium. Portugal a bit further back. The Portuguese and the Norwegians have just stuck a little bit, haven't they, on this third leg? Spain's currently rounding out the top 10. Koenigs going his merry way on his second and final bike lap. Knows he doesn't have to do anything stupid, just keep it going. He's so experienced, Florian Koenig, 28 years of age. He knows how to pace this. And of course, when he hands over to Sandra Bogran after his run. Bogran's so good in the water. He may well be able to have a pretty leisurely bite. We'll see. Westerman still alongside Hensele in that battle for silver and bronze as it stands at the moment. Westerman's actually done well just to hang on after he was caught by the German. No rule that says the Swiss has to do any work. He did actually go back to the front, to be fair to him. A bit further back. Spain, Belgium and Austria. That's Van der Flank for Belgium. Mario Mola for Spain. Great to see him in a mixed team relay. There he is. Middle of that shot. Middle of those three. And Austria in the shape of Leon Pauger. The other nation in that little trio. Catch me if you can, is the message from the leader, Dorian Koenigs. Chances are they can't. Such a solid performer on swim, bike and run. And he's deep into his second lap. Only 7.2 kilometres, remember, on the bike. 2 short laps. Every chance for Koenigs to hand over to Sandra Bogran with a big lead after he's completed his run. This is the most intriguing battle on the course, I think. Germany versus Switzerland, second and third. Westerman right on the wheel of Hensele. But they are 40-odd seconds behind the leader from France. Westerman must feel like an uninvited guest at a party. All the cheers are for the German. Here comes Koenigs into T2. No mistakes, no rush, take it steady, away and gone. No problem there, no penalties there. Now, is there going to be a slight advantage one way or the other in terms of who's going to get away on the run first between these two? Westerman on the right, Hensele on the left for Germany. Both off well before the line. They're going to go for stands 3 and 5 respectively. Swiss stands are outnumbered, but they're loud. 1 on, 2 on. Excellent from Westerman. They like that. But Hensele is right on his tail as they set out on the 1.6k run. And this is where you really feel the weight of your nation on your shoulder. Don't want to do anything to let your country down. In comes Mario Mola. A transition that befits a 3-time world champion. He's away. With a good race, Spain. When you look at their quartet, they should be competitive. Remember, they've had only 24 hours, these men, to recover from the individual race yesterday. Very rare that you have a mixed team relay the day after an Olympic distance race, normally a sprint race. But Konitz not showing any obvious signs of fatigue at the moment. Henseley has got ahead of Westerman in that battle for silver and bronze. Westerman has to try and hang tough. The run is only 1,600 metres. Look at Mola go. One of the greatest runners the sport of triathlon has ever seen. I think his only disappointment would be that he's never produced his absolute best at the Olympics. Konitz starting to maybe look a little fatigued, but he's got a healthy advantage. And he's probably only got about 800 metres to run before he hands over to Cassandra Bogrand. Of course, the women have had an additional 24 hours to recover their races on Friday. Westerman is trying to dig deep, trying to keep that gap to Henseley manageable, but the German is putting away from the Swiss, no question. Look at those spectators, they're 3 or 4 deep in places on parts of this course as they climb the hill. This is where it really starts to hurt the legs, but at least they know they've not got that far to go. Konitz hasn't looked back, he hasn't had to, of course. One thought in his mind, run hard and make sure that Cassandra Bogrand on the anchor leg for the French has a lead of at least half a minute. And that should be enough. Here's the tag. The final French runner is away. Bogrand about to dive in on the anchor leg for France. Konitz absolutely shattered. He's done what he had to do. Potentially significant gap now between Henseley and Westerman in second and third, Germany and Switzerland respectively. We're just past the hour in terms of race time. And it's France's to lose from here. And potentially, with Lindemann on the last leg for Germany, Germany silver to lose, you would think. Having said that, Julie Deron is an excellent triathlete. She's on leg 4 for the Swiss. I think actually Konitz here has extended the lead. Germany are away in the shape of Laura Lindemann. Switzerland too. Now, what can Julie Deron do in terms of trying to bridge that gap? Originally, Deron was actually down to do the second leg and they switched it, as the French did too. They had Lombardi down for leg 4, the first team sheet that we had. There's the lead, and she will extend it in the water, Bogrand, no question. One of the best swimmers in the sport. It looks effortless. It isn't. It looks easy. It isn't. She has had a few bike issues, obviously, in the past. Those who follow the sport closely will know that, Cassandra Bogrand. We look at now Lindemann. swimming in second place for the Germans. But the bike is only just over 7 Ks. It would be a monumental ask to expect Lindemann to pull back such a big deficit over such a short bike course. It'd be some consolation this for Beaugrand, who was disappointing fifth by her high standards in the individual race. We're looking at Ana Godoy Contreras of Spain, looking to get one of their best finishes in mixed team relays in recent years. Great leg from Mario Mola. Years and years of practice and dedication. Well, that is the definition of 100% effort, isn't it? Total commitment to his country's cause from Dorian Konitz. And Beaugrand is the beneficiary, and she'll be out the water in the next few seconds. There she goes. One discipline down, 2 to go to bring home the European title for the French. Title they won the last time the European Championship was a multi-sport event back in 2018 in Glasgow. France, Switzerland, Belgium was the order that day. Germans were back in set. There's Friday the Squirrel on the right, lighting up the crowd as ever, the mascot. Beaugrand has no time to enjoy his antics. Pretty good. So, Cassandra Beaugrand is away, and her nearest rival is only just coming out the water. This lead is massive. This lead is colossal. Laura Lindemann, a great swim. But there's Veron not too far behind her. This might still be interesting. And the crowd giving Lindemann massive encouragement here. He took second in the individual race behind on Stanford. Potentially another silver, might be only a quarter of an hour away for the German. Veron is away in third place for the Swiss. It's a pretty good transition from the Spanish, you know, and the Belgians. Spain have Contreras on the bike. Belgium have Koning and Vermeulen. Thing with Beaugrand here, you just imagine she has to banish any negative thoughts, because she knows it's her race to lose for her country here. The only thing that could possibly stop her, you would imagine, some kind of crash or mechanical. And keeping your concentration levels high should prevent the former. She'd be very unlucky if she was afflicted by the latter. Lindemann getting cheered on every part of the course. Veron is the chaser. And she just needs to keep an eye, Julie Duron, on those behind her, because the Spanish weren't a country mile behind, nor were the Belgians last we saw. Beaugrand is halfway through her opening lap. On the climb, not a massive climb, just a little indent really. The French squad, when you looked at the team list, the strongest by a country mile on paper. It's proved that way so far. Out the saddle. Knows that she can't afford to relax. She has to keep the pace rich. Don't want to give any encouragement to anyone behind, even though the lead is nearly a minute. You almost don't want to know it's that much if you're in her position. If I was the coach, I'd tell her it was 30 seconds. Lindemann with Deron still in the vicinity. Honest is not going to give this up. He's going to keep Laura Lindemann honest here on this opening bike leg. And if she feels like she's maybe just closing that gap a fraction, who knows what she might have left in the tank for the second and final lap. That seems as though it stayed about the same. Well, what about that for a piece of riding? That was absolutely phenomenal from Duron. That's why I say you never take anything for granted in this sport. That's got Oil of Spain, along with Team Belgium. They've got the Milan on the last lap. They're about 15 seconds behind the German and the Swiss. Right? You wouldn't say they necessarily have silver and bronze locked up. You'd think so. Beaugrand surely has the gold locked up, coming towards the end of her opening lap on the bike. Hasn't put a foot wrong so far. None of the French squad have. So one lap completed for Cassandra Beaugrand. Remember, she was in that team in Montreal that won the World Mixed Team Relay Championship for France. And she's away for her second lap. They have not stopped singing since the start. I mean, I love this. Brilliant ride so far from Julie Duron to get past Lindemann. Lindemann is hanging tough on the wheel. But Lindemann had an advantage coming out of T1. Yeah, will go on try and potentially drop the German on this lap, because you think Lindemann's run would be a bit quicker. Easier said than done. So those two are now away on their final lap. The lead still nearly 50 seconds, no danger whatsoever to Cassandra Beaugrand. Here's the battle in behind the Swiss-German affair. Belgium and Spain. They're still 25 seconds there or thereabouts behind the Swiss and the Germans. Norwegians some way back in the field. Started really well. I think it really turned for them with that incident with Lotte Miller where she couldn't find a bite in T1. Now what a fascinating little duo or duel this is. Switzerland and Germany. Great ride from Deron. How much has it taken out of her legs? You wonder. Beaugrand should have plenty of firepower for the run that'll be coming up for her in just a few minutes' time. She's well into her second and final lap. An hour and a quarter we've been racing here in Munich. The French started as hot favourites. They look red hot favourites now. It's interesting what happened to Beaugrand in the individual race. Not sure she wasn't quite focused. Maybe this wasn't her day. You have days where you just can't produce your best. But certainly she would have been expecting better than a fifth place finish, the 25-year-old. Lindemann may think if she stays on Julie Deron's wheel that she can outrun the Swiss and get the silver. Our second little battle, Belgium versus Spain. Roy Contreras at the back, just on the wheel of the Belgian, Van Island. The lead, still a handy 45 seconds, and she's not got far to go on the bike, Cassandra Beaugrand. Just keep concentrating, keep focused for a few more 100 metres, and she could almost stroll the run. Her definition of a stroll would still be too quick for most. Still nothing between the Swiss and the Germans. That looks like it's all going to be decided on the run. The other minor places might be as well. In terms of fourth and fifth between Belgium and Spain. A few more corners to take for Beaugrand until she'll be out the saddle and onto the run. Royals from everywhere, even though she's wearing the French colours, they know the class act and the class quartet when they see one. And here she comes, out the shoes. Make sure you're off before the line, and then nice and easy in T2. perfect. That was poetic almost, the way she dismounted there. Veron and Lindemann will be into transition pretty soon themselves. Beaugrand. Helmet in the box. Shoes on 1.8 kilometres to take France to the gold medal. So if one or other has a much better transition, that could be critical. Oh, that was close by Veron, very close to that line. Who's going to be away first? They're away together. This is going to be good. Veron and Laura Lindemann fronting for bronze. Or silver, and Lindemann trying to go early here. Trying to feed off the crowd's energy. Godoy Contreras is fourth into T2, followed very closely by the Vermeulen of Belgium. Just a slight issue with the shoes, and Belgium have the upper hand now in that particular contest. Beaugrand almost on a lap of honour. Just a reminder, the fourth athlete does a slightly longer run, only by a couple of 100 metres. So it's 1.8k. It's not going to make any difference. And Lindemann has all of a sudden put 25 metres into Durant. Had a feeling that might happen. Let's have a look at this dismount from Durant. Lindemann's fine. Well, he might. The judges will look at that. They will look at that. So desperate to get a quick transition, it could easily happen. Meanwhile, Beaugrand on her victory lap, so to speak. Lindemann looks secure in second now. It'll be a second silver for her. And if Veron has picked up a penalty, you have to be a bit concerned about those running behind her. Running the tightest possible line, and why wouldn't you? It's been a pretty good weekend for Germany. Just like a casual Sunday morning jog, doesn't it? For Cassandra Beaugrand, well past halfway now. Well clear, and a job well done. Unless something absolutely ridiculous happens for the next couple of minutes. France are going to win this by a big, big margin. Looking back, but there's no danger for Lindemann. Veron is losing ground to the German. Veron's main problem now is making sure that he consolidates third place. But it's been a good weekend for the Germans. What about the French? Well, Beaugrand just a few hundred metres away now. With a comprehensive display, every aspect of team triathlon from France. Lindemann's done brilliantly on this run to get herself away from Veron, who is clinging on to third at the moment and may or may not have to spend some time in the penalty box. We'll have to see. all calm and collected. And not far from the finish. Make sure you go the right way, that's the first battle. And once you feel the blue carpet under your feet, you know you're almost there. They started, as I said, massive favourites. They really never looked in any danger at any stage. Both riders anchored them beautifully. Just got to make this final turn and then round to the finish line. She knows there is absolutely no danger. There's the wave. A clean sweep in the men's race yesterday. They had Lombardi on the podium on Friday, and now they have retained their mixed team relay title and done it in massively impressive fashion. Konitz, Lombardi and Vaughan. Long way back to see Laura Lindemann, but there's no danger to her either. A silver in the individual race. She's going to add another silver in the mixed team relay and on home soil. She saw off their on from Switzerland. The Germans take the silver. And Veron, who didn't have to take a penalty, is going to come home and put Switzerland on the podium. A great result for them. The Swiss take third.
Yes,
1:25.30 the winning time. Tells you it's a tough course. And look at it sprint on for fourth and fifth, Belgium and Spain. The minor ahead of Godoy Contreras with about 100 metres to go. Can Godoy Contreras find something? She might be able to, you know. No, the Belgian suddenly got a second win. Godoy Contreras coming back, but Belgium will hold on. They finish fourth. It's a decent fifth for the Spanish. After so many disappointing mixed team relay results. .33 seconds, the winning margin in the end. Could have been more. I don't think Vaughan really put the hammer down on the run. She didn't have to. Austria finish a creditable 6th place. Portugal in 7th. 2 minutes behind. They were right up there early stages, the Portuguese, weren't they? Norway finish in 8th place. What might have been with that Lottie Miller incident. Danes coming home in 9th. Well, who is going to close out our top 10? Like the Hungarians. Lily Doby coming home to give Hungary 10th place. They were actually 4th in 2018 in Glasgow. Italy will be 11th. Carlotta Mutaglia. This race now nearly an hour and a half old. The tough course, absolutely no gimme, even with no serious hills to speak of. Great Britain, non-Stamford, bringing home the British in 12th place. What a weekend she's had. The new women's individual European champion. And the Czechs will finish 13th. Great that all those in the stands are going to stay exactly where they are and cheer all these teams home. Netherlands in 14th place. No Rachel Kramer or Richard Murray in their relay team today. There are our winners posing for photos. No weaknesses anywhere in that quartet. Poles finishing a little bit further down. And the Swedes. Well, it's been a fantastic 3 days, hasn't it? With two brilliant individual races and now absolute and utter domination by the French in the relay. And of course they're going to wait for the medal presentation that will be happening in a few minutes' time with Germany on the podium. This was the moment the victory was confirmed. Never really in a great deal of doubt, was it? Some consolation for Beaugrand after the disappointment of not making the podium on Friday. Magnificent event, the mixed team relay. So many people that saw it first at the Olympics, maybe not really triathlon fans, they just got first glance of it in Tokyo and one look and you're hooked pretty much. We'll bring you a few images from what we've just seen. tell you what, the French are going to take some beating in the Olympics, although I guess the Brits, when they have a full-strength squad, and the Americans might have something to say about it. There's the confirmed final result. Bloodless victory, really. Germany, an excellent second. Switzerland, they'll be happy enough with third. Belgium and Spain come next. Israel and Ukraine, well, you saw the Ukraine early bike crash. Israel were lapped out. Sweden, the last finishers in the field. Well, they were screaming and cheering and singing and clapping for the entire evening, and they're going to get rewarded with their team on the podium shortly. Germans enjoying the adulation of the home crowd. One of the great things I think about mixed team relays is just the emotion when all four get together on the finish line, especially obviously those who have medalled. Really love the fact that they're competing for their country. They seem pretty happy with the fact that their quartet nabbed the silver. Stand by then, we have the medal ceremony coming up very shortly. Been a glorious setting, Munich, for our 3 triathlons that we've had over the last 3 days. We've had perfect weather conditions. The gods have blessed us with that. Remember, we've got in total nearly 5,000 athletes across the various 9 Olympic sports competing here. Biggest multi-sport event that they've had in Germany since the Bavarian capital staged those Summer Games, Summer Olympics, half a century ago. Will not be the last major sports event to be staged here either. That's for absolute certain. Takes a little bit of organising. You'll appreciate the medal ceremony with 12 athletes on the podium. Here come the medal bearers.
The medal ceremony, Elite Mixed Relay.
Siegerehrung Mixed Relay.
The medals will be presented by
Die Medaillen werden überreicht durch Renato Bertrandi, Präsident Europe Triathlon.
The Champions Flowers will be presented by
Die Champions Flowers werden überreicht von Professor Dr. Martin Engelhardt, Präsident der Deutschen Triathlon Union.
and the bronze medalist, Switzerland.
Gewinner der Bronzemedaille für die Schweiz: Katja Scher, Simon Westermann, Julie Durand und Max Studer.
Finished second in Glasgow 4 years ago and on the podium again. Studer really set them off at a terrific pace. Cher was excellent, recovered brilliantly from a fourish swim. Westermann hung tough. And Durand maintained that third position on her leg. And I think you can tell from the smiles that they are more than satisfied in taking bronze.
The silver medalist, Germany.
Gewinner der Silbermedaille für Deutschland: Laura Lindemann, Valentin Werns, Nina Eim und Simon Henseleit.
What a massive improvement for the Germans, who finished sixth in Glasgow 4 years ago. Werns got them off to a good start. Eim was fantastic. And then Henseleit, who had that wonderful battle with Westermann and set up Laura Lindemann on the final leg, who was able to get the better of Julie Durand on the run and make sure that the host nation ended up with silver. Very popular, as you can hear.
The gold medalist and European champion, France.
Gewinner der Goldmedaille und Europameister für Frankreich: Emma Lombardi, Leo Beger, Dorian Conny, Cassandre Beaugrand.
Retaining the title they won at the last multi-sport European Championships in Scotland in 2018. Just no weak link in this team. It doesn't even matter really what the order was. They changed it later on. Leo Beger on the first leg. Lombardi was going to be the anchor. She ran second. Then Gloria Konitz. And Beaugrand able to not quite close round, but not far off that. When they're on song, they're almost unbeatable, certainly in Europe.
The national anthem of France.
Stand by
Die
then for the Marseillaise.
Nationalhymne von Frankreich.
Und München, jetzt könnt ihr noch einmal so richtig ausrasten. Das sind eure Medaillengewinner. Die Schweiz, Deutschland und